The purpose of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's open meeting is for the Commission to consider the matters that have been duly posted in accordance with the Government and Sunshine Act. Members of the public are invited to observe, which includes attending, listening, and taking notes, but does not include participating in the meeting or addressing the Commission. Actions that purposely interfere or attempt to interfere with the commencement or conducting of the meeting or inhibit the audience's ability to observe or listen to the meeting, including attempts by audience members to address the Commission while the meeting is in progress, are not permitted. Any persons engaged in such behavior will be asked to leave the building. Anyone who refuses to leave voluntarily will be escorted from the building. Additionally, documents presented to the chairman, commissioners, or staff during the meeting will not become part of the record in any official record of any commission proceeding, nor will they require further action by the commission. If you wish to comment on an ongoing proceeding before the commission, please visit the commission's website. Additionally, representatives from FERC's Office of Public Participation are located just outside of the meeting room to answer questions and assist the public with submission inquiries. Thank you for your cooperation.
Madam Secretary, we're ready to begin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. This is the time and place that has been noticed for the open meeting of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to consider the matters that have been duly posted by the Commission. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioners, since the December open meeting, the Commission has issued 56 notational orders. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and congratulations on your new role. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
I have to begin today on a somber note. Last month, 2 members of FERC staff tragically lost their lives in traffic incidents. First, Peter Black from our Office of Administrative Litigation was struck by a hit-and-run driver while riding home from the office on his bicycle. Days later, Ashish Dasi from our Office of Energy Projects lost his life in a terrible car accident. Both Peter and Ashish were beloved members of the FERC family and dedicated public servants who were taken from us all too early. They will be greatly missed and remembered by their friends, family, and colleagues. I'd like to take a moment of silence, pause for a moment of silence, to honor them. Thank you. I'd also like to emphasize that we are keeping a close eye on winter storms Jerry and Heather as they continue to unfold and as recovery continues for millions of Americans. This extreme weather pattern covered most of the United States with temperatures in many areas that reached the single digits, the teens, and had wind chill below 0. We saw record or near record demand from market operators across the country. And I would like to acknowledge and thank everyone that stepped up to help ensure grid reliability during these storms, from grid operators and planners to the generators and fuel suppliers, and of course, all the utility workers who have braved the cold to restore power to those who lost it. I'd also like to note this event underscores the need for more transmission capacity. SPP imported a record 6.8 gigawatts from neighboring regions, surpassing the amount that was imported during Winter Storm Uri. But it's only mid-January. We've got a little bit more winter that's going to come through here. And so we cannot rest. We have to remain vigilant. we have to continue to implement the recommendations that this commission has put forth with past storms and past reports. I urge everyone, do not delay. Next, I want to recognize the release yesterday of a new 2024 edition of the FERC Energy Market Primer. It is an incredible resource that explores the natural gas, electric, and crude oil markets regulated by FERC, as well as energy-related financial markets. The primer is now available on FERC.gov, our website. I want to thank our team of dedicated FERC staff from the Office of Energy Policy and Innovation, from the Office of Enforcement, the Office of Energy Market Regulation, and the Office of External Affairs for their contributions to the primer. Looking ahead, and I know many folks are asking about this, we stand on the cusp of some significant milestones this year at FERC. Building upon the foundation that we set last year, including Order Number 2023 from last July, a landmark rule that will help streamline our interconnection queue process. We are poised to address critical aspects of regional transmission planning and cost allocation in the coming months. The importance of these upcoming actions on transmission cannot be overstated. I believe they are vital steps toward enhancing our transmission infrastructure, ensuring that it remains robust, reliable, and responsive to future energy needs. I'm confident that the collective expertise and commitment of FERC will lead us to equitable and forward-thinking transmission solutions that will stand the test of time. With that, I conclude my remarks this morning, and I'll now turn to my colleagues. Commissioner Clements.
Thank you, Chairman Phillips. Good morning and Happy New Year. I too would like to add my condolences to the families and friends of Peter Black and Ashish Desai. My team and I have been contemplating and thinking about them a lot, and we appreciate the chairman's thinking of them as well. Debbie Ann, congratulations. It's nice to have you at the table. I know that your experience across the agency, for those of you who don't know, Debbie Ann was a managing attorney in OGC, and also an advisor to Chairman Wellinghoff. So she brings a lot to this role, and we're excited to see you here.
Thank you.
So it has been a week of weather. I think the wind chill in Montana got down to negative 70 degrees. It's pretty intense. And as recent experiences have taught us, it is imperative that the electricity system remains resilient in the face of this extreme weather. I'm happy that for the most part this week that was the case. I want to pause and thank our system operators and workers around the country. And I also want to especially thank David Ortiz and his team in the Office of Reliability, who kept us and our teams informed on many times throughout the storm. So we felt like we knew what was going on. That was really important, and we appreciated it. And anecdotally, at least, it appears that the lessons we learned from Winter Storm Uri and changes that have happened since that time did contribute to supporting the system this week, appreciating the weather was smaller scale and moved more quickly than Winter Storm Uri did. For example, since 2021, ERCOT has tripled its battery storage online. There's now 5 megawatts of available storage. They've doubled their demand response availability. There's now 4 gigawatts of, I said 5 megawatts, I meant gigawatts. There are now 4 gigawatts of demand response available. And during this week's record peak demand of over 78,000 megawatts in ERCOT, initial reports suggest that there was an improved performance of the thermal fleet. Wind was able to provide 30% of the peak demand supply during that time. Solar hit a new production record in supplying another 14,000 megawatts. And batteries also contributed to keeping prices low during the morning ramps in ERCOT on Monday and Tuesday. Elsewhere, we saw the value of interregional transmission transfers. PJM reported that it was able to export 12,000 megawatts of energy to its neighbors during the cold Wednesday morning. This is a nice story to tell. Of course, it doesn't suggest we're in the clear, our work is done. But it is worth pausing for a moment to consider the encouraging aspects of this week's experience, and that is that we can meet the challenges of extreme weather with proactive steps. The landscape in which our policy discussion continues is not static, and the actions that we are taking now are important to help ensure reliability and resiliency of the system going forward. On the agenda, I'll speak to one item, C2. I am dissenting from the order granting Transco a certificate for its Texas to Louisiana Pathway project. Although I have voted for the large majority of certificate orders that have come before me, I cannot support this one for two reasons. First, as I have done before, I disagree with this order's determination that there are no tools available to assess a project's greenhouse gas emissions. The Commission has not considered that question carefully enough to support the order's conclusion. Second, and critically, there is insufficient record evidence to support the finding that the project is required by the public convenience and necessity. It thereby contravenes the governing 1999 certificate policy statement. That statement places the evidentiary burden on the project sponsor to show that a project will benefit the public, not just benefit the private signatories to a precedent agreement. Literally, the only evidence in this record is Transco's precedent agreement with a gas producer seeking to move gas to a pooling point. The source of gas, the ultimate customers, and their planned uses for the gas are all unknown. There's no market study or even market growth projections supporting the application. Although precedent agreements are, of course, evidence of project need, per the certificate policy statement, they are not necessarily sufficient evidence. And in this case, there is lacking in evidence of public benefits. I've consistently advocated for this commission to update what is now a quarter-century-old certificate policy statement to address the complexities of the momentous energy transition now underway. While I look forward to modernizing the policy, the commission must at least adhere to the existing policy if we are serious about ensuring the continuing orderly development of natural gas infrastructure. And therefore, I'm dissenting. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Christie.
I feel like I'm at the adult table, moving over. Sort of liked it next to Ronan over there. Anyway, I want to thank, first of all, thank everybody for the, and say Happy New Year. We haven't met since last year, and so Happy New Year, everybody. Congratulations, Debbie Ann, our new secretary. I know you do a great job. Share the condolences expressed by my two colleagues about the two lost employees. It's always tough, especially at that time of year. But I don't have any comments on agenda items. I would say this: we've just gone through Winter Storm. I guess it was Jerry, and like a lot of people, I spent a lot of time on the poweroutage.us website, which is a great way to track what's going on. And what it appears, it appeared to me throughout the last 4 or 5 days was, by and large, the system operators did a great job throughout the country, both RTO and non-RTO. When you watch that website and you look at the different colors, it looked like the country did a very good job of maintaining, keeping the power on during some extremely cold weather. Another website I went to quite a bit is I went to PJM's website and MISO's. They both have great websites. They both have great dashboards. I'm not judging somebody else's dashboard, but as a PJM consumer, I certainly go to PJM first because I'm worried about my power. But so PJM, for example, peaked yesterday just after 8 o'clock in the morning. It was like 12 degrees where I was, and that's when PJM peaked. It peaked about 8 o'clock, right after 8 o'clock in the morning yesterday. PJM peaked around 135 gigawatts of load. The supply mix, which is right there on their dashboard, the supply mix when they peaked yesterday was gas 41%, coal 24%, and nuclear 25%. So 90% in PJM were dispatchable resources, keeping the heat pumps going so people wouldn't freeze at PJM's peak. MISO peaked around, and by the way, and PJM was still able to export about anywhere from 8 to 12 gigs at any given time. I think it's about 8 gigs at peak. So great performance. MISO's mix, MISO peaked at around 105 gigawatts of load. MISO's mix was gas 34, coal 34, nuclear 9, and wind played a big role, 20% in MISO. But in MISO, it's about 75% dispatchable. So PJM met load with about 90% dispatchable. MISO met it with about 75% dispatchable. Now we know in PJM, because they've already told us, they're going to lose anywhere from 40 to 50 gigawatts of dispatchable resources in the next few years. We know that MISO is losing dispatchable resources. They've warned they're looking at a shortfall of around 5 gigawatts within just a few years. NERC came out last December and said nationally we're looking at losing almost 83 gigawatts of dispatchable resources, largely coal and nuke, within the next decade. And again, those numbers don't add up. Now, you can't export something if you don't generate it. Okay, so you have to have the power supply before you can export. And I think the lesson we learned in the last 3 days, preliminarily looking at those numbers, first of all, the system operators did a great job. But certainly in PJM and MISO, looking at those generating mixes, those are dispatchable resources that were keeping the lights on, keeping the heat pumps going, by and large. Certainly in PJM, 90%. So what NERC is warning us about is that the pace of retirements of dispatchable resources is unsustainable. And we're heading towards a very bad place if the pace of retirements continues at the pace it is. The numbers just aren't going to add up. And I think the last 3 days just showed that in PJM and MISO both. So this is not a commentary against some form of resource. It's simply stating what NERC has been telling us over and over in both MISO and PJM, that if you don't maintain these dispatchable resources until you have an absolutely adequate replacement, we're not going to have the success we had in the last 3 or 4 days. And instead of having those lights stay on and those heat pumps keep running, they're not. And so the pace of retirements is a significant issue that we all have to deal with, because that's the threat that's coming. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your insightful, thoughtful comments. So with that, Madam Secretary, we are ready to go to the consent agenda. Madam Secretary, we're ready to move to the consent agenda.
Since the issuance of the Sunshine Act notice on January 11, 2024, no items have been stricken from this morning's agenda. Your consent agenda for this morning is as follows. Electric items.
Mute your microphone, Madam Secretary.
I apologize for that. The consent items for this morning: electric item, E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, E8, E9, E10, and E11. Hydro items: H1, H2, and H3. Certificates: C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5. As to C1, Commissioner Clements is dissenting in part with a separate statement. As to C2, Commissioner Clements is dissenting in part with a separate.
Dissenting.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Clements is dissenting with a separate statement. And as to C4, Commissioner Clements is dissenting in part with a separate statement. We will now take a vote on this morning's consent agenda items. The vote begins with Commissioner Christie.
No separate statements, and I'll vote aye on everything.
Commissioner Clements.
Noting my partial dissent in C1, my dissent in C2, and my partial dissent in C4, I vote aye.
And Chairman Phillips.
I vote aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes today's items for consideration.
Before we go, I do have just a couple more announcements. Thank you again, Madam Secretary. Excellent job. I have some good news and some bittersweet news to share before we leave. First, the good news. I'd like to announce that Judge Satin will now officially be the Chief Judge at FERC. Judge Satin, yeah, everybody can clap for him.
Oh, yeah, he's there.
Where is it?
Congratulations.
Stand up for us. There he is.
There we go.
Judge Satin has served as acting Chief Judge since Judge Cintron's retirement and has done an amazing job keeping us on track and keeping the cases moving through. I want to congratulate Judge Satin on his appointment. I know and as many of the litigants that appear before him and our other amazing ALJs appreciate his dedication, thoughtfulness, impartiality, and the knowledge of the law. I thank you, and I look forward to your service. All right. Now we turn to our staff who are retiring, and this is the bittersweet part. I have the privilege and honor to recognize two distinguished public servants, Vince Urick and Rich McGuire, who are retiring this month after more than 30 years with the Commission. Throughout their careers, Vince and Rich have earned the trust, respect, and appreciation of their colleagues, and I want to take a few minutes to applaud and talk about their service. Vince serves as the Director of the Division of Hydropower Licensing in our Office of Energy Projects. Unfortunately, he could not join us today, but he did join the Commission in 1990, working on recreation and land uses in our hydropower projects department. Under Vince's leadership in the past 11 years, the Division of Hydropower Licensing has issued 228 licenses and has reviewed and provided guidance on more than 260 NEPA documents. Based on Vince's outstanding dedication and significant contributions to the Commission's goals, I am awarding Vince the Chairman's Exemplar of Public Service Award. Please give him a hand. And lastly, but certainly not least, I want to turn to Rich McGuire. Rich serves as the Director of the Division of Gas, Environment, and Engineering in our Office of Energy Projects. Rich joined the Commission's hydropower program in 1992, reviewing applications and performing NEPA review. He is one of the few Commission staff to transition from hydropower to natural gas projects. Rich quickly took over more complex roles and responsibilities, serving as a compliance inspection coordinator, a branch chief, and then as Deputy Division Director before being appointed to a senior executive service role in September of 2016. Under Rich's leadership in the past 7 years, the Division of Gas, Environment, and Engineering issued 237 NEPA documents for pipelines, storage, and LNG terminals. In Rich's role overseeing project construction and restoration, his division performed more than 1,700 construction and restoration inspections, and Rich oversaw the commencement of the service of more than 2,600 miles of pipeline. We can clap for that too. Yeah. And it is indeed my honor to present to Rich, again, the Chairman's Exemplar of Public Service Award, and I think we have the award here. Rich, if you could come down. Right. Here we go. He wants a picture.
Get a.
Made me look good. All right, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, everybody, that concludes our meeting. We thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay. That was a great meeting.
That was a good meeting.
You said it.